Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we will start the numericals of unit number 4, turning effect of forces, for class 9th. Let's see the problem number 4.1. Find the resultant of the following forces: 10 Newton along x-axis, 6 Newton along y-axis, and 4 Newton along negative x-axis. Before solving this problem, let's see what is head-to-tail rule. Take any one of the vectors as a first vector, for example, a vector A. Here this black arrow is showing the vector A. Then draw the next vector B such that its tail coincides with the head of the first vector A. Here the blue vector is representing the vector B, and the tail of the vector B is coinciding with the head of the vector A. This is head-to-tail rule. Similarly, draw the next vector for the third force, if any, with its tail coinciding with the head of the previous vector, and so on. So here the third vector, which is our last vector here, its tail is coinciding with the head of the blue vector. In this way, you can combine the head of a vector with the tail of the next vector. You can add any number of vectors by using head-to-tail rule. Now to find the resultant vector, draw a vector R. Here R is the resultant vector such that its tail is at the tail of the vector A, which is our first vector, while its head is at the head of the vector C. That's the last vector. The first vector is the black arrow and the last vector is the red arrow. So combine the tail of the black arrow with the head of the red arrow. This will give you the resultant vector, or the sum of all these three vectors. In this way, we can use head-to-tail rule to add the multiple vectors, and we will get the resultant vector and the direction of the resultant vector. By measuring the length of this resultant vector R, we can calculate the magnitude, and by measuring the angle from the x-axis to the resultant vector, we can find theta, the direction of the vector. Now let's solve our problem. We have the three vectors: 10 Newton along the x-axis, 6 Newton along the y-axis, and 4 Newton along the negative x-axis. To draw these vectors, you have to set the scale. Here the scale is 1 Newton force is equals to 1 centimeter of a line segment. Now draw a 10 Newton along x-axis. So as 1 Newton is equals to 1 centimeter, here draw a line of a length equals to 10 centimeter in the direction of x-axis, the positive x-axis. Now draw the second vector in the direction of y-axis, having the length of 6 centimeter. The third vector is 4 Newton along the negative x-axis direction. So from here, joining the head of this vector with the tail of our next vector, draw a vector in the direction of negative x-axis, which is 4 centimeter. To get the resultant vector, join the tail of our first vector with the head of the last vector. So joining the tail of the first vector with the head of the last vector, we will get the resultant vector. By measuring this length with the help of ruler, we will find it is equals to 8.5 centimeter. And by using protractor, we can measure the angle with the positive x-axis. This angle is equals to 45 degrees. Now, as we mentioned in our scale, the 1 centimeter is equals to 1 Newton. So, magnitude of R is equals to 8.5 Newton, and direction of resultant vector R is equals to 45 degrees. That's all about this problem. If you understand this problem and head to tail rule, then like my video, share my video with your friends. Thank you very much.